Hey y'all, welcome back to Grow My Green Thumb. Do you know what today is? It's March 6th. We are about 8 days past our last average frost day and our 10-day forecast looks favorable, so we're gonna get to spring planting today. Let's go! Okay y'all, so I went around the garden and I made my plan on what I'm gonna plant. I used these tags here with this big area that you can write on, and I used this Sharpie Extreme marker. Now this is the one that, even though it says extreme and it's for UV light, this will fade over the course of the growing season. However, in this case, I actually do want this to fade because I want to reuse these year after year for my plan. So I'm gonna bring you around and show you what the plan is before we get started planting. Okay, so here is one of our tomato beds. These are 12 foot long, and tomatoes, when you're using the square foot gardening method, which is what I use for these planter boxes, you can plant 1 per square foot. I already have 9 in this bed, so I'm only going to be able to add in 3 more. I do have a plan for my companion planting in the front of the tomatoes with onion, basil, bee balm, and borage. So that's my plan for this bed. We're going to come over this way. This one is part of this trellis here, this cattle panel trellis. And what I'm going to put on this side, I'm going to direct sow some pole beans, 8 per square foot. You can see there. I have a few different types of pole beans, so I'm really excited to see how those perform. On this side, there's going to be cucumbers. Cucumbers, you can sow 2 per square foot. This is a 4 foot long bed, so I might try to squeeze in 10 plants. I know that's pushing it, but I'm not sure. I'm going to see, because I really like things to be symmetrical. So we'll see how that works. Companion planting with the cucumbers will be marigolds and nasturtiums. Over here, I haven't fully planned out this bed yet. I do have that 1 tomato there, and I do know I want to put my tomatillos on this side. The tomatillos will be 1 per square foot, and I have 2 tomatillos. And an okra that's actually not looking too terrible. I'll probably stick that okra around here somewhere. I'm leaving these brassicas for now because these are bloomed and the bees are loving it. You can see the bees on there now. Every time I just have to come and get a little video of these little bees. Okay, I'm not going to touch this bed. This bed also has a bunch of blooming brassicas. I have my pineapple sage down there. That made it through the winter. I did cover it with a blanket, but it made it through the winter. And I have my dill here that's trying to flower. You can see I have some flowers there hanging, but it did get a little bit of damage with the winter weather, but it's blooming there too. It's interesting. I do have some baby dill plants because I did drop some seed for those there. Those are doing well, and our broccoli are, oh, those are starting to separate. So these are going to be time to harvest. You can see that the florets are starting to separate and turn a little bit of yellow color. That's when it's time to harvest. I know they're not very big, but it's time to harvest those. So I'll be eating some broccoli today. These are some more little broccolis. I harvested those very small heads before the freeze because I didn't want that to be damaged. These are broccoli rabe. They have gone to seed and they're beautiful. These are kohlrabi. This is my first year growing kohlrabi. The leaves tasted really, really, really good in the winter. I tasted one last week when it was like 75, 80 degrees outside. The leaves are a little bit more bitter in the heat, but I'm gonna taste them again and see. It's taken some time to make their little bulb here at the bottom. You see this? This is where it'll make the little kohlrabi bulb. I'm gonna give them a few more weeks and see. And when I'm ready to turn over this bed, they'll get taken out. Let's come over here so I can show you what I'm planning. So this trellis here, these are some Katrina roses, also known as Peggy Martin roses. A family member lovingly rooted these for me. So I have one here and one here, and these will grow all the way up this trellis, and this will be covered with roses. I can't wait to see the beautiful roses on this trellis. What I'm growing in the front right here, these are red Malabar spinach. I'm going to try to separate these so that it's symmetrical and I have one on each side. This is a spinach substitute. It should grow well in our heat and humidity, and they are perennial. So I'm hoping that if I put one on each corner here, I'll have some nice leafy greens year after year with this plant. Let me come around this way. This is going to be the pepper bed, also with some poppies. And I think I sowed some poppy seeds in the fall. I think that's a poppy growing there, so I'm letting that grow in the hopes that that's a poppy. But I started dropping my stakes for the peppers. The peppers here will be 1 per square foot, and I did a triangle method here. So I split the 4-foot square into triangles, and I dropped a stake in each one. And then this one I did square, just to kind of change up how it's going to look in the beds, because I do want these to be beautiful. So that's going to be the pepper bed. This part here, this is going to be eggplant, 1 per square. I might have enough to fill in this back part here with eggplants. Right here, where I actually have the tray of eggplants sitting, last night my little son came home and he brought his beautiful his beautiful bean plant that he grew at school. He brought it home and it was looking so good, and he left it on the counter because he wanted to show me when I got home. And our cat ate all of the leaves. And when he saw that, he just cried and cried and cried and cried. So we had to come out and plant some bean seeds last night for him. So I have bush beans in these 4 square foot here, these 2 and these 2 different types. I have dragon tongue and royal burgundy. So these are bush beans. I did 9 per square foot in each of these areas here, and so we'll have bush beans coming up there. Okay, let's see. Over here we have our squash beds. Squash take up a lot of room, and actually what I'm planning on this side here of the bed, I want to put out some more landscape fabric and some bricks to hold it in place. And if the squash don't grow up, I'm going to try to train them to grow up, but if they don't, I'm going to let them trail over that way, so that they'll just grow out into this open area that we have here. So squash will need, you can grow a half of a squash plant per square foot. So yeah, that sounds silly, but 1 squash plant per 2 square feet. And I'm going to companion plant that with borage, marigold, and nasturtium. Now I might not have enough plants of these started for the companion plantings yet, but I can just drop seed and self-sow those as well. So these are some stakes to try to grow up those squash plants. And this is a trellis here for some climbing squash. I had some red curry squash and some other things, so I think I can train up this trellis. So some climbing melons there is what the goal is. And look at this big piece of plastic, my goodness. So that'll be gorgeous growing up here. So this is my second tomato bed. This one's also 12 foot long, and I have 3 tomato plants in this one that survived the winter. So I will keep those, and I will plant in 9 more tomato plants here. So I'm gonna have to choose which of these I get to keep. They're all looking very, very good. They're nice and tall, they're loving the sunshine, so that's encouraging. This here I decided is gonna be one of my perennial beds. I moved some things around. Those Johnny Jump Ups are just so cute. Look at that. I'm so glad I planted those. Those were all from seed. I just took a seed packet and I just sprinkled it all around this bed. And that was probably November, wait, I have it here. October 11th. And these have been giving me flowers for some time. They're so, so cute. And I have some kale, rosemary, parsley, and these onion looking things, these are Egyptian walking onions. These are perennial, and they should spread, and they'll make some really beautiful purpley flower bulbs at the top, and then they'll droop over, and when those little bulbs touch the ground, they should root. And so we should eventually get quite a bit of Egyptian walking onions in this perennial bed here. this is what I did with my little cherry tomato. Isn't this so cute on this obelisk here? And it's actually blushing. I'm gonna go around and show you. These are some kale and some spinach. I showed you this last weekend when I kind of moved things around. And these are doing great. Look at these lettuces. They're doing really great. And these green onions are looking great. All of these lettuces. This is arugula here with these beautiful white flowers. So this is what my arugula looks like when it flowers. And I have heard that you can eat these flowers. I haven't tried them yet, but you know, I probably will. That Swiss chard is looking beautiful in there as well. And look at that little cherry tomato. It's blushing. See if I can get it to focus. Look at that. I can't wait to eat that one. So I'm just training this to go up this little obelisk here because I didn't want to move it since it's established. All right, so I think we went all the way around. Oh no, we didn't. Here's some strawberries. I want to get a different type of strawberry planter because the fruit, since they're touching the soil, they're not hanging on long enough for us to pick them, but they're this beautiful plants. Look at how pretty those flowers are. So I will be getting a different strawberry planter. Let me show you my Meyer lemon tree. It's in full bloom. Look at this. It's so beautiful and it smells so good too. It's a beautiful tree. That's Nymeria. She came out in the garden to play with us. And this is one of the beds that I've had since the fall. I'll show you what we have going on here. These are cilantro. That's some red chard and that's some yellow chard, just out of a rainbow chard mix. These are awesome kales, and I love kale, so all of these are gonna stay. I'm just gonna plant around them. And then this other bed here was another fall bed. I'm gonna add in these that you see here. I think now at my work we had like a garden party and they gave us a bunch of seeds and there weren't any tags to label. So I really don't know what type of brassicas these are. It could be kale, it could be cauliflower, it could be broccoli. I'm really not sure. So I left them for now and we'll give them a little bit longer. And if I have plenty of room, I'll keep them just to see what happens because experimenting is fun. And then on this side, these got some frost damage here. That is some chrysanthemums. And these are edible, these particular ones. We'll see how they come and keep growing. I can see that we have some new foliage growing. So they definitely survived, but we'll see if they take off now. So I think now that is all of the garden. We went around the whole thing. So I'm gonna get set up and start planting some stuff and I'll bring you back to see how it's looking. So real quickly, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna plant these tomatoes. These are the Florida 91 variety. These are the heat set ones, so these should do well when it comes to our really hot summers. Hopefully we'll still get some fruit set. And I like to dig with my hands. I don't use shovels in my bed if I can help it, because I like to feel around where the other root balls are for these other plants. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull my little tag just right over here, and I'm gonna pop out one of these. So this is what the root system looks like right now. And this is 2 plants, so this is doing really well. I did water them really good before I started doing this to make sure that they were not going to be too stressed. Now these bottom leaves here, we're going to bury this really deep in the dirt to help all of this make roots too. So I'm just going to pick off these bottom stems here. So this is what we have, and I'm going to lay this down like this, support this like that, and these will actually grow up this way. And all of this area here that I'm burying, all of this is going to make roots, and so this will really extend the root system of this plant. Get that a little bit deeper. So then I'm just going to cover this up like this, and those will grow up. So that's one down out of the 3 I can plant in this bed. So I'll do 2 more here, and I'm gonna do all of this Florida 91 in this bed since I already have other varieties on either side. And so these will be my July tomatoes. I'm gonna keep on going and I'll bring you back. Okay, y'all, I wanted to show y'all this borage. This is the borage here, these big beautiful leaves. This thing wasn't playing in here. I just pulled out one of the little cells that I had. It had 3 good-sized plants in it, and its roots, I mean, look, it's just, they're going over into the other cells. All of that's borage roots, y'all. So these things, they might be shocked when I separate these out, but let's see. I'm gonna do it anyway. You can always restart some from seed and just learn from that experience. So I'm just gonna separate out this here and try to get these 3 plants separated. All right, this looks like one really good root system. Y'all, look at that. That's really cool. Okay, so there's a borage. This is gonna go with this plant here. See if I can tease this apart. Okay, there's one, a smaller one, and this one's a really nice one with a lot of root mass here. So I'm gonna plant these up, and I'm just gonna plant this one right here so you can see how I'm doing it. I'll probably put this one here and this one over here, and I'll do this one right here. I just like to use my gloved hands, but not a trowel or anything like that. So I'm just making a hole in here so I can feel if I have any tomato roots or anything else in there. And I'm gonna drop this in here like this. Pick off some of these damaged leaves and just backfill this in, and I will give this a really good watering after these are all in. Here I'm gonna plant these Walla Walla onions. These were also grown from seed on January 1st. Let me show you how these look coming out. Put that little tag there. So I just have one plant in this one, and it looks like a little sedge or something. I'll pull that out. Onions, when you're doing the square foot gardening method, you can do 16 per square foot. And so I'm not gonna do a whole square foot for each little section of onions here. I'm gonna do half. So I'm gonna do 2 rows of 4. Here's another cell here. This one has 2 plants in it. And I'm gonna gently tease these apart a little bit just to kind of give them a little bit more room as they grow. And you can see that they come apart pretty easily in this mix. So I'm gonna put this one here, this one here, and I'm gonna get one more out of here. That one's got a really nice root system. And I'm just gonna put that whole thing into a little bit bigger hole. Put this one here. For the next row, I'm gonna do the same thing. Now I'm just going to backfill in with this dirt. And onions are pretty forgiving. You don't have to be as delicate as you think you might need to be. Okay, so those are in. I'm just going to fill this in a little bit more. And I have one more Walla Walla I'm going to stick in over on this other side to my left where I only had 7 of the Rosa onions. Stick them in there so that it's symmetrical. Okay. Let me grab this little guy here. Let's see if I can take you with me. I'm going to put him right here. I'll just have to remember that this is a Walla Walla. Okay, so now I have 3 segments of onions companion planted here with these tomatoes, and I have a bit of borage. Let me show you the borage. Look at how that borage is looking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 borage and a kitty cat who's probably going to try to eat something. Okay, well, this bed is looking good. These are tomatoes, onions, and borage so far. Let me see what else I can companion plant in here. I think some basil. Yes, basil. So I have here, they're very, very small, but I'm gonna get them in here anyway. This lettuce leaf basil. I sowed these on Valentine's Day. So these are about 3 weeks old now. And these plants get very, very large and the leaves get really, really big. You can use these leaves as wraps. And that's what I'm really excited about. That's what I plan to use those for. I also have a lime basil. I'll probably keep that one for the other side. So let's get some of these lettuce leaf basil seedlings out and see if we can get them planted up. Okay, so we're moved on to cucumbers now. Really excited about these. I have 6 different varieties and I'm gonna plant them in twins. I have 2 in each cell. So I'm gonna plant 6 different varieties along this trellis line here. So we're gonna start on this side. This is Telegraph Improved. I've rewritten my tags with the garden marker, so hopefully I won't lose the variety names. Check out the root system there. It's a little bit root bound. I could have gotten these in the ground a week earlier, so if the weather had cooperated. So this is what's going to go in the ground now, and this is Telegraph Improved. The next one I have is Boothby's Blonde. And then after that is Lemon Cucumber. Okay, now we have Straight 8, Pick a Bushel, and Mexican Sour Gherkin. I'm going to put those closest to this way because they're the smaller of them. Pick a Bushel did really well for me last year. You can see they're all a little bit root bound, but we'll just see how these do. This one's the Mexican Sour Gherkin. It's not as root bound as the others. This plant, it's a thinner plant and it makes a smaller fruit. So I'm putting this one closer to the edge where I'll be able to see it better. All right, I'm gonna companion plant these cucumbers with these marigolds right here. They're already starting to flower. So I'm gonna see if I can separate these out into 5 different plants. So I have this clump here, and I have this clump here, and I actually have a cosmos that jumped in there. So that cosmos will just get to stay. And I'm just gonna just split this right down the middle to try to make this one into 2 plants, since I have this big cosmos in here as well. Okay, so that's how that looks. Put the cosmos on the end, and I'm gonna see if I can get this one split into 3. We'll see how they do. Let's get them in these little holes here. I really like these 3-inch cells here. Okay, well, I think that looks really pretty. Let me put my marigold tag right here. I put these seeds in these trays on January 12th, and today is March 6th. So this is the kind of growth that you might expect from roughly 8 weeks in seed cells under lights inside. So in this 12-foot bed, I already have 3 tomatoes that survived the winter. So I will be able to add in 9 more tomatoes into this bed. I actually have 9 different varieties here. So I will add in 1 of each different type of variety. I'll get this planted all the way down along the row, and I'll bring you back when it's done and show you how it looks. Okay, I have 9 more tomatoes planted. That's yellow pear, garden peach, ruby gold. This one is one that I don't know what variety it is. That one was a leftover from the fall. Rainbow blend, heirloom mix, another mystery one, another heirloom mix, yellow pear, oh excuse me, yellow heirloom. This one is a mystery, Creole, and red crinkle. I call that one red crinkle because I got those seeds from a tomato that I bought from Whole Foods, and I don't know the exact variety. I just know it's an heirloom red crinkly tomato. So there we have those. I also put in some little twin seedlings of lettuce leaf basil in here. There and there. Can't wait to see how these grow up. These are some different squashes and zucchini that I'm going to try to get to climb or train up these poles here. I'm just going to tie them as they grow, and hopefully that'll keep them a little bit more tidy. I have cushaw, a yellow straight neck, a zucchini, and a white bush squash. So let's get these planted up. This is what the root system is looking like. A little bit root bound, but they're gonna be okay. And remember, I can only do 1 of these per pole. I will come and thin these out later on. Probably next week once I see how these transplant. Let's do crucial first. And yellow straight neck. Actually, this one was pretty delicate. I actually cracked this one's stem, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pluck that off because that did the thinning job for me. Now on to zucchini. And finally, the white bush squash. I have my 3 holes dug. So this one is going to be a red curry. Pretty good root system. The next one is going to be sweet dumpling. And these seeds I all started on February 3rd. So these are just a little bit over a month old. There's a sweet dumpling. I hope my cat doesn't try to eat my food. And lastly, I have a delicata. That's the ideal root system, how it looks right there. Okay, well let's move on to the next bed. Okay, I'm gonna move from this side of the trellis over. See, there's the big trellis. I'm gonna move over to this side where I have a few more climbing cucurbits like cantaloupe, spaghetti squash, and loofah. First I have cantaloupe. That's this little one here. Let's see, I'm gonna choose this one. This one's a little bit bigger. There we go. I will thin these out in another week or so once we see which ones are doing the best. There's cantaloupe. These are spaghetti squash. And finally, loofah. The loofah are pretty small. I'm gonna plant these up anyway. Okay, I think we're gonna go do peppers next. Now we're in the bell pepper bed, or the sweet pepper bed, and we're gonna get all of these peppers planted up. I have about 12 or 15 varieties, so I'm gonna make my holes and drop these in. on to eggplant now. I'm gonna see what varieties I have. Rosa Bianca is this big one here. I'm gonna make some holes and I'm gonna drop all these in. I'm gonna put you back on time lapse. Y'all, look at how beautiful this bloody dock is. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love this plant so much, and it tastes so good. It's lemony. So I have two spots here by this trellis that I'm going to put these, and I'm going to split this in half, and I wanted to show you how I was going to do that. It's really easy. Don't be scared. You're just going to pull it. Let's see if I can show you this way. You're just going to pull it apart like this. And now you have two plants. So I'm going to get these planted in. I'm going to do the same with this red Malabar spinach. Since I have two plants here, I want one on each side. So I'm just going to gently separate these two like that. And they're pretty small still, so I think they're going to be okay, even though I had kind of tore up their roots a little bit. And I actually saw this one just germinated. This, I guess it needed some warmer temperatures being outside, so I'm going to actually put this with the rest of my plants that I'm saving for backups, and I might get one more Malabar spinach out of there. How about that? Let me show you where I put these red Malabar spinach in this red sorrel. So this is the trellis that leads out to the street. This is where the Peggy Martin roses or the Katrina roses are going to fill this up. On the inside here I have, this is the red Malabar spinach and this is the bloody dock. And I did the same thing on this side. The red Malabar spinach there and the bloody dock there to make it symmetrical. I can't wait to see how all of these grow up. Let's have a look at the eggplants and the peppers. So these are all the eggplants here that we planted, and I actually put in the watercress here, there, and there. They're making some cute little white flowers, and I think this will be a nice little ground cover going around the eggplant. Here I put some just regular sorrel, and there on that side some more bloody dock sorrel. Right here I have beans, bush beans planted, waiting for those to sprout. Over here is our pepper bed. You just saw me plant all of these peppers there. And I didn't put any other flowers or anything in here just yet because I want to put the poppies in. So this is going to be peppers and poppies. Over here by the squash, I put in the golden purslane just along the edge there. They'll trail along there, and that'll be a nice little accent border there. And I'm gonna sow some seeds for nasturtiums and marigolds and probably some borage as well. I popped another little sorrel in right there. And in my perennial bed here, I added in several bloody dock. I separated these out. So I have several bloody dock there and the other sorrel there and there. And one more over there. Those need to be watered in. So I'm gonna get to watering those. I have a little bit more that I need to plant for today. But look at how gorgeous the garden is looking now that we're getting some plants in. This is just so pretty out here. I love being out here.